All right, y'all, we are live on this beautiful Wednesday morning. God bless everybody in the name of Jesus, Yeshua, the Messiah. I pray everybody is very blessed as Bitcoin is in decision mode as we await the federal funds rate decision, which so far is forecasted to remain the same. All right. If anybody doesn't know, today at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Jerome Powell, the JP man himself, is going to make the decision based on inflation whether or not to change interest rates. Now, here's the thing. If they keep interest rates the same, well, that's neutral, right? That's not really going to have an effect on the market. And then we're going to wait for his press conference to determine how is he feeling. Is he feeling like pretty soon they're going to be able to lower rates, cut rates even more? If he's feeling like pretty soon, based on all things considered, they're going to be cutting rates more, that's going to be bullish for our markets. That could help us have a bullish fall for crypto. But if he comes out hawkish, saying, yeah, you know what? Inflation's pretty bad, that will be bearish. And Bitcoin right now is at a moment of decision. And as we know, the FOMC decision doesn't necessarily cause price to move. But what it does do is it gives a short-term volatility. And the short-term volatility is what leads us to the big move. All right. You know, for example, back here, we had some short-term volatility with this big old dumperoni. And that led us to the big move to the upside, right? And if you were ready and prepared, like we were in the Casper Crew VIP Discord, to take the epic long trade, then of course you can capitalize on the short-term volatility, you know? And of course, over here, you can see we had some short-term volatility, which led to a large move to the upside. And if you're prepared, like we were in the Casper Crew, you take advantage of it, boom, lock in the profits. Or even just most recently, we had a little bit of short-term volatility right down here. And if you're prepared, like we were in the Casper Crew, then you can hop into the trade, take advantage of the volatility. And now we are forming this triangle. Bitcoin is in the midst of decision making. Symmetrical triangle. We already had a fake out to the downside, short-term volatility, which gave us our move back to the top of the triangle where we've gotten a rejection. And we come back down to the bottom of the triangle. We're trying to get a bounce. We're waiting for Jerome Powell to come out the den closet, look at us with those scared eyes, because he knows that we know that he doesn't know what the heck he's doing, and that the whole financial system is basically a giant Ponzi scheme, where the central bankers for the past 110 years have been stealing all the wealth from us plebs, keeping it for themselves while we're stuck with these worthless debt notes depreciating in value, so we have nothing to pass on to our children. And eventually the whole system will fall apart and they'll have all the actual tangible assets that they got while giving us these debt notes, while we're chasing these debt notes on our 9-to-5s, having to work more and more and more and more hours for less and less and less pay. We're too busy to worry about our health. We're getting sick. All right, we're eating crap food because we can't afford more quality food. Yeah, I mean, it's terrible, right? But anyway, he suppresses all that while he can tell us, yes, we're doing our best to get inflation back down to 2%, right? And then we have the press conference where they ask him questions, and he basically, with a lot of words, will say, well, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And we are in this decision time right here. And the question is this bullish triangle going to burst out to the upside, or is it going to burst to the downside? And I think what's most important right now is not predicting what's going to happen, but being prepared for anything that happens, so that no matter what happens, we are not stuck freaking out, trading on emotion, and getting wrecked. Now we got to give a major shout out to everybody in the house. We got about 600 people up in here. All right, we only have 82 likes. As usual, guys, if we can get 1,000 likes in the next 22 minutes, we'll be giving away $1,000. All right. Also, we got to give a major shout out to WEEX, guys. Link in the pinned comment description if you want to trade Bitcoin and altcoins with great fees. Check out WEEX. All right, it's a good exchange. Also, we got to shout out ANTARCTIC. This is my exclusive decentralized exchange here. This is going to change the name of the game. This is going to be something that we have never seen before. It's in its very, very infancy phases right now. But basically, this is completely decentralized. You don't put your assets on any kind of platform. You hold it in your own wallet. And if you trade on the exchange, you are a partial owner of the exchange, getting paid in exchange tokens, which during the next few years are going to appreciate in value like crazy. If you trade on the exchange, you also share in the liquidation fees and all that stuff, because we're the market makers together. And eventually, we're going to be able to trade not only crypto, but we're going to be able to trade stocks, forex, indices, commodities with our tether on a decentralized exchange, like used to be able to do on BingX. And of course, we got to shout out BLOFIN, KSEX, and if you don't know how to trade but you have no money, check out Klein Funding, crypto prop firm, runs on Bitget. I have 25 and 15% discounts on these funded accounts. If you know how to trade, it's actually a legitimately good deal. A reputable crypto prop firm that has a deal with Bitget, one of the most reputable crypto exchanges in the space. You get an instantly funded account without having to pass challenge with a 15% discount. Links all in the pinned comment and description. All right, let's see who we got in the house today as Bitcoin's getting a little bit of a dumperoni. Shout out to Keep On Grinding. God bless you, bro. Shout out to Alex Dixon. I need money. I got wrecked Monday before. Sorry to hear that. Shout out to Outback Kid. Need a ETH look. Need that bad boy to go down and not up. Wow, really? You're short on ETH. Shout out to Brad. He says front run after front run. Shout out to the Whiskey Reaper. Gold is blasting. Shout out to Rob. He says, isn't that more like a falling wedge on BTC? Yeah, it is now. This is such an old drawing here. But I guess nowadays you could draw it like this and say that we've broken and back testing, right? We're broken and back testing. Shout out to Alex, who says, say it as I liked. Man, it is man, dump, then pump. Shout out to Jay Violet, who says, smash the likes, everyone. Shout out to USMC 03011 Goldie. Market sucks as usual. Cyrus says, Alter in pain. Shout out to my man, Sergeant Squid. Shout out to Count Zeppelin. And Megawave, who says, fake out. Shout out to British Gold. Shout out to Felix Finn. Cardano. Let me know, Pappy. Shout out to Fran's Dip. We have to get out of the triangle today, otherwise we go to 110. Yeah, that's one of the main things that we need to be aware of. Fran's Dip going down to 110. And we got to give a major shout to my man Sam Price in the house. He says, no haircuts this month. God bless you all. No haircuts this month, guys. Shout out to Crypto Lifer. Guys, if you are not subscribed to Crypto Lifer, go subscribe to his channel. He's so close. I'm pretty sure, unless he already passed it, to 100,000 subscribers. All right. Let's see if we can't pump him up to 100,000 subscribers today. I think he's like a couple hundred away, if I'm not mistaken. All right. Go check him out. One of the best crypto channels on the good old YouTube machine. All right. Shout out to Rome's. He says central banking is modern slavery. Essentially, it is. Yes. Yes. Yeah. That's why we're here. All right. What we're doing here, guys, what we are doing here is a giant middle finger to the system. This is a way to cheat the system. This is a way to play their own game. All right? They created fake debt note money to keep you in as a slave to your stupid job, working your whole life for something that's never, ever, ever, ever going to be worth anything. While they just literally, by changing the price on paper, I mean, they're not even dealing with real asset. They changed the price on paper. The interest rates, all this stuff, the CPI, it's just fake. It's literally fake. And they can make money by the changes of these numbers on the screen. Okay? We can do the same thing. And we can use this to accumulate tangible assets. True wealth. In a physical sense, not a spiritual sense, but true wealth in a physical sense is tangible assets, things you can touch, feel, resources that you can use in order to survive. In my opinion, true wealth is land. That is the ultimate, is land. That's why you can't really own land in America, because if you don't pay your taxes, they take it away from you because they really own it. Unless you don't pay your taxes, and if you don't, God bless you if you have a way to do that. Look, it can be done. It can be done. But look, we should be acquiring tangible physical assets such as land. We should be seeking to do the most we can in our local communities to support ourselves and not rely on external systems for that, especially not ones that are funded by the government. All right? This is America. If you want socialism, y'all can go to Europe. All right? They ain't even got no military. All right? They ain't got no balls over there in Europe, but they sure do got socialism. The government will surely pay for your medical bills over there. All right? You make your choice, baby. Can we get to the TA? TA? What do you think this is? A TA channel? We're holding the Monday low perfectly, says Cyrus118. Shout out to TNT. Shout out to Last Tin Can. Shout out to Type Crow, who says Lifer. Shout out to Max. Shout out to Andrew Cameron, who says good morning. Yeah, the good old YouTube machine. How does Lifer not have 100K yet? Look, guys, I'm telling you, it's been tough lately out here for us crypto YouTubers. All right, it's been a little bit of a lull. All right, it's been a little bit of a lull. You know, it's weird. You know, we're in our own little echo chamber here. We feel like everyone is into crypto, but really, people aren't. You know what I'm saying? I go out there every day when I go to my 9 to 5 and I talk to my coworkers. I'm like, hey man, you guys see what XRP did yesterday? They're like, what's that? And that's usually when I wake up from my dream, because there ain't no way I have a 9 to 5, baby. Haven't had one of those since 2013. Alright, let's pop into the dang charts. Make sure to smash up the likes. Alright, here we go. Can someone let me know how many hours until the Fed announcement? Yeah, sure. So it's at 2 Eastern time, and now it's 9:30 Eastern time. So that's 4.5 hours about. Alright, about 4.5 hours. Right? Am I doing that math right? 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. No, 5.5 hours. I still gotta count on my fingers. Still gotta count it on my fingers. Shout out to John Shanks. And shout out to April. And shout out to John Ploney. Enough with the shoutouts. Shout out to JBW, who says enough with the shoutouts. Guys, enough! Enough! Come on, Jason. We need you to talk about the charts. Hurry up! Tell us what to do. Okay, let's do it. Calm down, Jason. I'm getting a little out of control here. Let me slap myself. Alright. What do I think about gold? Let's take a quick look at gold. What do I think about gold? I love gold. Gold is in my opinion, the best preserver of purchasing power known to mankind. It has been for thousands of years. Alright, slow and steady wins the race. But here's the thing. I always talk about it, but look, this gold chart here, going back to 1971 when Richard Nixon took us off the dang gold standard, this is how much your dollar has gone down in value. Gold has not gone down in value. The purchasing power of an ounce of gold has not gone down in value. Right? You can still buy as much stuff with an ounce of gold today as you could with an ounce of gold in 1971. The only difference is in 1971, an ounce of gold was worth $35, and today it's worth $3,000. Man, that is nuts. All right, so you want to protect your purchasing power with an asset that's tested, time-tested by history, through the rise and fall of empires, through the rise and fall of various worldviews who have controlled the world, different philosophies, religions, spiritualities, completely different cultures. Gold has been the one thing they've all had in common. They used it as money. All right, they used it as purchasing power. It's always been valuable. All right. So I've been in gold since 2014 myself when I got married. And I'm like, man, wife, now that we're married, we should probably not be keeping all these stupid dollars. Why don't we put it all in gold? All right. And it's been 11 years since I got married, and we're up 200%. Now people scoff at that because of crypto gains, but you got to think, guys, crypto's new and speculative. Gold is time tested, and you're not really in gold to make money unless you're day trading it. You're in gold to preserve your purchasing power, right? You're in gold to preserve your purchasing power. So Bitcoin, we're over here on the chart. Okay, let's take a look. What has happened? We've gotten a big old breakout, big old break, holding above key resistance now. We've been holding above for 3 weeks, and we have to acknowledge the fact that objectively speaking, this is a very strong, bullish looking chart. All right, we're day traders here. We freak out on every 1 minute candle. Look, objectively speaking, this is a bullish chart. So long as the price is holding above our very key zone of 109, say 110-ish, right, to 112, this is objectively speaking a very bullish chart. Every single time that we've had a breakout of the sideways range with a big weekly candle close, every time it's pretty much been up only. Now we still have 4 days left of the week. There's more time in the week than not for this purple candle to close blue. Now we go back to the pattern here. The pattern really is, once we break out of the range, it's up only for a few weeks, right? Big blue candle, big blue candle, big blue candle, purple doji, 2 blue candles, and then we have like a blow-offish top that ends in a purple candle. Even when we break out of here, back in January 2024, we had a big blue candle, purple doji, big blue candle, and then a purple blow-off top there. We break out of the range in October 2023, one of the most memorable breakouts of my life. All right. I was on a baby moon with my wife. We were at a restaurant. I'm trying to focus on my wife. Sadly, I couldn't. And I had to apologize to her. I said, look, she's talking to me. Oh, Jay, let me tell you all these deep things from my heart. And I'm like, I'm like looking at my phone. I'm making all this money here, you know? And I told her, look, I got to be honest. Look, I'm making all this money. I can't focus on you. She's like, Jay, why do you care about money more than me? Oof, slap in the face, baby. And she's right. I had to repent of that one. Look, we get a big breakout here. Get the big break. Purple doji, blue doji, and then it's 3 more weeks of up only. So the pattern is we get the big old break, you know, consolidation sometimes, and then up only, right? If we lose this green box, that is not good. That is like really, really not good. But here's something else we need to keep in mind. We are in the last 6 months of a bull run, and things are looking quite bullish across the board on all these charts, including Bitcoin. And we know that we are heading into the month of August. Why is the month of August so dang important? Well, for the past few Augusts, we have had a major move initiate. August 5th, 2024. I remember it like it was yesterday. We came down and that was the low. And then boom, super bullish fall. August 15th, I think, 2023. August 14th, I'm sorry. We come down here. And that was the low, initiating a big old move for the fall. All right. Now, even in the bear market back here in August, it actually did initiate a little bit of a pump. This is the bear market. In the bull market, August is that big old move that really initiates a move to the upside. And so we already have bullish market structure, and we've been basically now consolidating throughout the month of July. And we're awaiting August when that big move happens, okay? And then today, of course, as we're literally done with July tomorrow, guys. Isn't that crazy? July's already over. Today, with the FOMC decision, this is not something to be taken lightly, because this volatility could really act as a catalyst to give us a big move. Now, there's a few scenarios that could happen. Like scenario number 1, interest rates stay the same, and we don't really get too much of a spike in volatility. But then when the press conference happens, if he's feeling dovish, that could be the catalyst for a big pump. If he happens to cut interest rates, which, you know, is probably not going to happen, but if he ends up cutting interest rates, that would be pretty dang bullish. And then if he does do that, I would be really looking for the next big opportunity to get into a pump long. All right. Now, typically, the decision itself leads to short-term volatility. So don't be surprised if we get bullish news and we get a little pump right away and then a dump and then eventually a pump. That usually happens. Bullish news, fake out pump, wreck everybody with the dump, and then we get the real move. That could be something that I think we need to really be prepared for. And our next big target on Bitcoin is going to be the $130,000 level. And this is going to be based upon Fibonacci. So we go ahead, we take our fib from the low of the bear market in 2019 to the top of the bull in 2021 to the bottom of the bear in 2022. And you can see that right now, first of all, where are we finding resistance? And they say TA don't work. Look at this. We're finding resistance to the dang dollar from our 1.618 Fibonacci extension. Our next Fibonacci extension is going to be $130,000 at the 1.786. And then our moonshot target, potentially, for this run is going to be front-running 150K, right? A lot of people are expecting more than that this bull run, which is why I expect a front run of 150K, right? We're not even going to tap that psychological 150K, in my opinion, before the bear. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. Would I be sad if I'm wrong? Would I be sad if I think the highest we could possibly go is 147 and we end up at a $250,000 Bitcoin? Am I going to cry that I have lots of Bitcoin that's now worth $250,000 a coin? When I first got into Bitcoin, it was $600. Am I going to be sad? No. But look, guys, in life, I'll tell you this. Expect less, and then when you get more, you're pleasantly surprised. People who are always expecting more are always disappointed. All right? Always disappointed. I'll tell you, and this applies in a lot of different ways, too. You know, I had a friend, Mike from the Poconos. Shout out to Mike from the Poconos. He said, you know, Jay, look, he was talking about dating girls and how you should, how good of a boyfriend you should be. He said, never be the best boyfriend you could be. He said, never. Always have them expecting that you're kind of a jerk. That way, you got a lot of room to improve there, you know what I'm saying? Then she's like, oh, Jay, what a great guy you are. You know, I wasn't expecting that from you. You're like, yeah, babe. And you got lots of room to keep impressing her, right? But, you know, you give her 100% right away, then you make one little mistake, and she's like, Jay, what a jerk! You know? A little tidbit for you younger guys out there. All right? Now, I'm joking, by the way. I mean, that he really did tell me that, but I don't recommend you actually take that advice, okay? But the principle still applies. You know, expect less and to be happy with more. You know, these people expecting like a $250,000 Bitcoin, I'm not going to sell until, okay, whatever. You know? Then you're going to be hodling those bags all the way back down to the prices that people say right now, we're never going to see it again. You idiot! We're never going to see that price of Bitcoin again! Okay, whatever, man. I've been hearing, look, this is my third bull run. Do you know how many times I've heard this is the last opportunity to see Bitcoin at this price? It's the last opportunity to see it at $30,000. You know, look, I've heard it so many times, all right? In fact, I'm convinced it's those people that said, it's the last time they're ever going to see Bitcoin. They're the reason why Bitcoin dumps so much. Because when you make definitive statements like that, let me tell you, it's the same principle that applies, right? Same principle applies. You're at the chart all day, pumping. I'm not going to long. I'm going to wait for a pullback. Not going to long. Wait for a pullback. Not going to long. Wait for a pullback. Not going to long. Okay, I'm long and boom. All right, it's the same deal. Oh, we're never going to see it. We're never going to see it. Boom. All right. So, that's just all. That's it. All right, it's those people. We're going to go into the bear. It's going to be a good opportunity for us. We're going to be able to get in some juicy longs, some juicy spot positions, baby. So we can acquire those physical, tangible assets. You know what I'm saying? So we can raise our animals on our own land and tell the government, yeah, screw you, man. Look, I don't need your dang socialist insecurity over here. All right? Let's see. Oh, right. Don't extend. We don't want to extend. Okay, so now let's do some top-down analysis here on the Bitcoin. Let's go to the daily here. How's the daily looking? Consolidation, look, we got the green dot. I was expecting this to be our ticket out. Hasn't happened. Let's check out our 12. Honestly, things are looking more ambiguous than the way I looked back in college when I was graduating with my degree in trans, non-carbon, binary, emission, gender studies. All right. Things are looking pretty dang ambiguous. We don't know which way this Bitcoin is going to go. We really need to wait for FOMC right now, because as I look at these lower time frames, as we are squeezing together, all right, we need to see a big move in one direction or another. And if I was a trader, and I am, I would not be interested in trading any of this nonsense right here, okay? I would not be interested in trading any of this nonsense right here. Like I've been saying for a long time, I was not interested in a long on Bitcoin until we came and took this level. I wouldn't be interested in a short on Bitcoin until probably we come and take this, right? Remember, it's all about what's going to wreck the most people, so we're looking for a fake out of the triangle to the downside to take a long. I'd be looking for a fake out of the triangle to the upside to take a short. And I would take that short, you know, obviously as a scalp because I'm kind of bullish. But if we do start to get a dump here, let's say we get a fake out of the trend line to the upside, right? Everyone's like, oh, long the breakout. Boom, we come down. Then we do need to be looking for that box, that retest between 109 and 112. And that, in my opinion, could be, especially if it takes us a few days to get there and we end up getting there in August, which historically is the month of the big bounce. This could be the last big long of the bull market. Like, this could be the last long. Like, I know I said the low 70s would be the last long. And you know, really, that the low 70s was the last big swing long. But let's say we do front run $150,000. This potentially right here is a 10-to-1 risk-reward ratio on Bitcoin. I mean, this could really be, you know, give it a little playroom, say a 7 to 10-to-1 risk-reward, depending on where we wick down to. The last opportunity to really see a big support resistance flip, a big resistance acting as support, a big fake out, shake out, and then that final big pump that ends in the fall, maybe around September, October, and then we see that good altcoin season happening, Q4, Q1, 2026. You know, so I would be aware of this scenario happening leading into the first week of August for a bounce. And again, remember guys, you know, like my grandmother always used to tell me, Jay, you know, a level of support don't mean a peak if it ain't got that cheek. We want to see bullish divergences as we're coming down to that area, right? We want to see bullish divergences. We want to make sure that these momentum waves on market Cipher B are getting higher over time as the price is getting lower, all right? Giving us the coveted uneven butt cheek pattern. Big and juicy on the left side, full of gravy, ravioli, ricotta cheese. Feta cheese, guys. Man, I love me some feta. I love cheese. I love dairy, all right? All you people who are lactose intolerant, I'm sorry. I love cheese. I eat so much dairy. So much dairy, man. Like, it's insane amounts of dairy that I eat. Raw dairy. You know, the only non-raw dairy I eat is yogurt, because you can't have that raw. You know what I'm saying? You got to cook that stuff. You got to heat it, you know, in order to get the yogurt. But I'm telling you, man, this left cheek is full of every kind of dairy, high fat, full fat dairy, all the saturated fats and all those things in the left cheek, the right cheek skinny. That is how you're going to get the bounce, all right? And this is just evident from everyday life. You go to the diner. The waitress comes out. Look at her butt. Big left cheek, skinny right cheek. Look at the price. It's coming down, all right? As soon as it comes down here and you see her, she's coming out with her coffee, the tip money in that right skinny cheek, boom, look at the price. It starts to rise. We see this in everyday life, all right? Who hasn't seen this at the diner? Who hasn't ever been to a diner, seen a whole bunch of random candles coming down to support as your uneven butt-cheeked waiter comes to your table smoking a cigarette inside with your coffee, and then seen the price bounce? If you've never seen that, you must live under a rock, okay? So look, we come down here, we want to see uneven butt cheeks, we want to see bullish divs. If we don't see it, guys, then we do need to be objective enough to say that is a major sign of weakness. And if we don't bounce from here, we need to be objective enough to say we could see a big move down to our next support, which is 97. Now, we hope this doesn't happen, but we need to be objective enough to say if we don't hold support, probabilities are highest that we come down to the next level of support below, right? Just like we were objective enough to say, if we reclaim this level of resistance, probabilities are highest that we come up to our next level of resistance, right? And we were objective enough to say this, you know, which is why I myself have been such a dang Bitcoin bull since April, because we've seen the objectiveness of the chart, right? And that's why we were calling for this move. That's why we've been long since $85,000. Right? That's why I've got hundreds of thousands of dollars long on Bitcoin. And look, guys, if this is something you want to learn, check out the free course. All right, totally free, free 99, 18 sessions on my YouTube channel. All right, check it out. This will totally change everything. Also, if you want to join the Casper crew, where we give the trade setups in advance, go to jasoncaspertrading.com. Click the link to join the best trading community in the world. All right, look, you can join the VIP. All you got to do is click the link. All right. Let's see what's happening here. All right, let's see what's happening here. All right, so we're holding 117.5. Man, we are chop city in here. Chop city. In fact, it's been so crazy, I will tell you, because even yesterday, when we come back to this chart and we look at what's happened here, you know, we even back tested. If we're going to draw this like a triangle, right? Look at this. We are basically, right now, look at how perfectly, basically, we back tested this trend line here. If we're going to connect these lows, low, low, we back tested that pretty perfectly. And if I'm not mistaken, we also bounced from like a fib level down there. No, we didn't. I thought we did. Okay, we front ran that 618. But we did bounce from value area low. The bounce from yesterday, the technical level there was value area low, confluence with the trend line. Look at that beautiful bounce. That beautiful confluence right there. So if we can't get our push up from here, guys, this really is looking pretty weak. If we're going to bounce from this and just reject from POC, that is looking pretty dang weak, I gotta be honest. So I'm hoping to go live when JP makes the announcement and does the press conference, so we can watch this volatility together and see what's going to happen. Now take a look at ETH. Now ETH honestly looks a little bit stronger than Bitcoin, to be honest with you. Alright laddies. Now first of all, we've got to understand Bitcoin's breaking out of this massive trend line, 4 years of price action, resistance diagonally. We had the fake out here back in December 2024, and we spent pretty much the first half of 2025, first quarter I should say, coming all the way down to here. We've got a big bounce, major signs of strength. We've got extremely bullish confirmations on the chart. And we're breaking out, we're holding above this green trend line now. It's literally the third week that we've been doing it. Alright? And right now we're waiting for that $4,000 level on ETH. I'm thoroughly convinced if we break 4,000, we're going to get sucked up vacuum cleaner style. It's 5,500 quick. Alright? But that is something that we have yet to see. So I'm wondering, is this whole JP thing going to cause Bitcoin to break out of its triangle, get another pump, and then we will finally see ETH break out of this and get a big pump? It looks like she wants to so bad. Look at the money flow on the 2-day. Man, it is getting thick. Look at the money flow on the 1-day. Man, she continues to get thick. Let's check out our 4-hour. Four hours where we start to look ambiguous. Honestly, the 4 hours where we start to look ambiguous. So there's two ways to look at the 4 hour. You could look at this as bearish divergence here, which is quite bearish to be honest. But given the context of the higher time frames, I would like to look at the 4 hour as something like this, where we see the bearish divergences coming on in, but the money flow at coming to zero line acts as support, right? It looks pretty bad, but then this money flow starts to act as support. And maybe we see a trigger wave forming, or even better would be another deep wave there, where we don't get a big drop, but we get a slow consolidation, maybe continue to trade in this sideways range here. Right, we do have our sideways range, I'd say, on ETH right here. So maybe we can come down, get some bullish divergences here, continue to trade this sideways range like this. Or if we maintain the trend line like this in this ascending triangle, maybe, well, it doesn't have to be that staunch, but as long as we don't lose the low at $3,500, if we print a momentum wave that's very low and we're maintaining higher lows, that is a hidden bullish divergence that could break us out of here. All right, as long as we don't lose 3,300, this is objectively speaking extremely bullish. Just like how Bitcoin, as long as we don't lose 112, objectively speaking, we should be looking to buy the dip based on the market structure. Look at this range here. We are right now in between the POC and the value area high, which means so long as we don't lose the POC, the probabilities are highest of $4,000. Right now, the probabilities are highest for ETH that we will see another high, just based on volume theory itself. All right, the theory is once you reclaim the range, you're most likely going to fill that range. okay? And everything else that we see, like the bullish divergences on the weekly and the big bottoms on the monthly, these high time frames are pointing to more upside, all right? So that's the deal with Ethereum. And I've been charting Ethereum in the Casper Crew VIP Discord. And that last big dump last week that happened on Thursday, man, we caught that long as well. Caught that juicy long as well on Ethereum. We charted that last week. In fact, in about a few minutes, we're going to be heading over to the Casper Crew VIP Discord to do our low time frame trading plan, so we can catch these juicy entries on the low time frames, if you know what I mean, Jellybean. And make sure, Jellybean, to go ahead and click the like button. All right, go ahead and click the like button. Make sure to click the like button. The king of Bitcoin says it's looking bearish, man. Just say it. Look, I think it looks ambiguous. All right, I'm not ready to say that I'm a Bitcoin bear. I'm ready to say things look ambiguous and the market structure is still bullish, and I cannot change my bias until I have a reason to do so, until I see a sign of weakness, which would be a loss of major support, right? And then I can say, well, probabilities are for more downside. But we have a big day. This is a big week, this is a big day, and we're heading into a big month. August is a big month for crypto, historically speaking. And this is a big day, because whatever happens today, man, this could be the catalyst for something big. If he cuts rates, man, that could be big. Even if he keeps them the same, but he comes out in the press conference very dovish, that could be the catalyst we need to get that big push to the upside. Look, when the high time frames are bullish, you've got to interpret the low time frames through that lens, right? When the high time frames have more upside and the medium time frames, the low time frames look ambiguous, you have to interpret them through the lens of the higher time frames. I mean, this 4 hour, yeah, it looks bearish. If the weekly was printing a top, if the monthly was printing a top, I'd be bearish too. But the monthly has just confirmed a massive bottom. All right. And the market structure is bullish, and we've reclaimed major resistances as supports. And we're about to close a candle above a 4-year resistance, okay? So when all these high time frame things look so bullish and the 4 hour looks bearish, yes, it looks bearish, but we know, I mean, I know, us market cipher people know that when things look bearish in an uptrend, a lot of times those bearish signs are acting as support. The money flow will act as support. It's like the purple money flow here on the 4 hour acted as our support, right? So don't front run your bias here. I mean, and again, this ain't no financial advice, but for me, it's like, okay, I have my line in the sand. I can't feel bearish on Bitcoin as long as we're above the POC. The probabilities are 4,000 is next. The monthly, the 2 week, the weekly, the 2 day, and the daily all look bullish. Then we come down to the 4 hour, the medium time frames, and it's like, okay, it's ambiguous. It's a bit ambiguous. Look at this. Even on the 4 hour, this is a hidden bullish divergence, right? We got hidden bull divs here. So we're seeing hidden bullish divergence on the 4 hour, already confirmed. That's a continuation pattern. And so, yeah, I can't just come out and say it's super bearish. If we lose the POC, right, and we come down here and there's no divergences, and it's like, well, I was wrong, okay? But more times than not, these market cipher high time frames are really going to tell you the bigger move you should be looking for, if you know what I mean. Why are altcoins bleeding out, says Hassan K. Is this bleeding out? Does anyone else think this is bleeding out right here? We got to give a major shout out to Felipe. What about the undefeated pi cycle top sitting at 180? What's my opinion on that? Yeah, that's a good point, man. Well, I haven't historically used the pi cycle. I've used Fibonacci, but I would say this: I wouldn't be sad if we hit 180. I wouldn't be sad if we hit 180. You know, expect less. Is this bleeding out? Is Solana bleeding out? Guys, are we bleeding out here? I don't think we're bleeding out, all right? We're back testing major Resistance now as support. We're in an uptrend, higher highs and higher lows. Is Chainlink bleeding out, guys? We're in higher highs and higher lows. How are people saying this is bleeding out right now? Is Cardano bleeding out? Cardano's not bleeding out. Look, Cardano, we've been saying ever since we were down in this area, it's an amazing buy. We've already gotten a big move to the upside. Is this bleeding out? A consolidation after a big move, making another higher high here, breaking out of the falling wedge. So we're just consolidating right now. We are not bleeding out, all right? We are not bleeding out. If we get pullbacks on these altcoins, you know, we know where our next big levels of support are. Cardano, you know, the back test of the wedge. You know, we're looking at 66.6 cents, give or take, on Cardano. Fibonacci golden pocket, back test of the trend line. You know, we got the 76, the value area low. That would be a target of the head and shoulders here. We could also just simply get a fake out of the head and shoulders, bounce from the POC. Once we come above our value area high on Cardano, that's about $1. Once we break $1 on Cardano, it's free falling upside down. Right? We flip the chart upside down. We're gonna be free falling to the upside, baby. We're gonna be free falling to the upside. Look at the money flow on the daily right now. Does look a little bit bearish, doesn't it? Right? Does look a little bit bearish if the chart's upside down. Right? If the chart's upside down, it looks bearish. So I really mean to say it looks bullish. Right? Look at the money flow on Cardano here. Looks bearish upside down, looks bullish right side up. Honestly, guys, I love to flip my charts upside down to give another perspective. If we're at support and you don't know like what to do, a lot of times I like to flip the chart upside down and ask myself the simple question, would I short this? And if the answer is yes, then I should probably long. All right, like let's just take a look at ETH, right? Let's go to the monthly. Let's invert the scale. All right. Let's say that you come to the ETH chart, right? And you see a trigger wave like this, right? You see the monthly, all right? It's making a lower high, and we have a confirmed monthly red dot. What would you expect? Yeah, you would expect that you would expect to take these lows at the very least. You would expect to come down, take these lows. You would expect to come and take this low here, right? You would expect it. You know what I'm saying? Look at I'm confusing myself right now. I'm confused myself with all these upside down charts. Is this inverted or regular? Look at Sol right now, okay? If this was a red dot here, man, if this was a red dot, we would expect another move to the downside. We expect another move to the downside. We'd say, man, this little range right here, what a weak range. We just basically, look, we couldn't even break the high, swing failure pattern of the high, rejection from key resistance. Now we're about to confirm a red dot here. We would expect more downside, you know? It's always a good exercise to do. It lets you see the chart from another perspective. And it helps also with the psychology, because then you're not like necessarily tied to a direction. You're tied to like, what does the chart actually say? If you know what I mean. You're tied to what does the chart actually say. Alright guys, we will continue this stream in the Casper Crew VIP Discord at jasoncaspertrading.com, where we will be looking for our low time frame entries. God bless everybody in Jesus' name. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, click the bell. I will see everybody next time. Peace.